right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wholesaling the Cool Way. I'm your host, Jasper Cool, here with my dad, Mark Cool. And for the first time listening, we like to go over our respective businesses on this podcast, share our wins and losses, kind of do a recap of the past week. And we're coming in, this is our first episode of the new year. So happy new year to everyone. And typically
Yeah,
we'll kick it off with books or podcasts or anything else that we've picked up that's been valuable this past week. So do you have anything you want to share on that?
yeah, sure. Um, I've done a lot of reflection over the last week because it's the beginning of the year. So a lot of that I've used Chat GPT. I've been playing with Chat GPT a ton. We've been talking about this offline. I don't know how much we've talked about it online, but if anybody's not using Chat GPT or one of Chat GPT or one of these AI services, I highly recommend it because you can have it support you and coach you on your goals or help you structure goals or plans for the year, business plans, whatever. And I've been doing a lot of that. So I highly recommend that. And then just for, health stuff, I've been digging into apps and mental health stuff. And there's so much out there that's available and all the things that AI can do for us now. It's really, I'm sure a lot of people have been doing this for the last year or two, but I'm just catching up. So I would definitely recommend anybody checking into what you can do with a site like ChatGPT and some of the AI powered apps and things like that. Um, Other than that, a couple of books this week. I was reviewing The Gap and the Gain, and because I did strategic coach last year, I got a. They give you these mini books which are really great. So I just was reviewing this week because it just like breaks it or synopsizes the gap and the gains concept, which is really about, if I can summarize it, it's just about if you are comparing yourself against an ideal or a future goal, you will constantly be frustrated, right? There's that whole concept of, Alex Hormozy says this. He's probably not the first one to say it, but a goal is an agreement to be unhappy with a certain area of your life until you get a certain result or something like that. I'm paraphrasing,
Mm-hmm.
but the approach of the gap and the gain is that you build on your successes, and so you feel empowered and you feel successful every day. So like the micro habit that they talk about in the gap and the gain, and there's a full length book too, but it's about just counting three gains every day. At the end of the day, counting three gains and building on your success. And the idea is that if you're looking backwards to where you were, like where was I a month ago regarding this situation or this goal, where was I 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, even 5 years ago, like look, where was I, whatever time period. If you look backward and then you look at where you are now, you're going to feel empowered because you're going to see all the gain that you've made. But if you're always
Mm-hmm.
looking forward and comparing against an ideal, you're always going to be unhappy. So that's the whole principle of it. It's just like continuing to remember where you've come from, what you've already achieved, and measuring what you've already achieved, and even the rate at which you've already achieved it will build your confidence and give you more fuel to achieve future goals. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that, and that's been really good for me to review that as I set goals for 2025 because I've had a pattern of feeling frustrated because I set a goal and didn't hit it, and then getting discouraged. And counting the gain is a way to avoid that dynamic. And I think the point of that, for Dan Sullivan is he deals with a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of people are in that boat of just like constantly striving, but not going, hey, last year at this time or 2 years ago at this time, this is where I was and this is what I wanted. I've done all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that. And then the other one I wrote down here that's kind of frivolous but fun is Banana Ball. Do you know about this? Savannah Bananas.
No.
So the Savannah Bananas are a minor league baseball team, and they're kind of like now they're almost like a Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And so they wear bright yellow uniforms, and the guy who owns the team wears a bright yellow tux with a top hat, and they run the thing like it's a three-ring circus almost. It's like a carnival, and their whole attitude is to keep people engaged and keep people happy and to entertain and make baseball fun. And
Mm-hmm.
the guy who founded it, the book called Banana Balls, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he founded this, and he and his wife bought this minor league franchise, and they turned it all around, and they do have like a time clock on the game, The games are timed, and like the pitchers are timed, and but you can like steal first on bases on balls, and you can do guys do crazy stuff like they'll stop, they'll pause, and the whole team will do a dance, and then the pitcher will throw the pitch, or the umpires do dances and stuff. There's a guy on their team who pitches on stilts, and they have one thing where a video I saw on Instagram. They have three guys lined up on the pitcher's mound, and all three of them go
Mhm.
through a windup in synchronicity. And then one of the guys throws the ball, and the batter has to swing. And like, but but the long and the short of it is the guy has made a really big enterprise of it, and the merchandise, they can't keep it on the shelves, and now he's getting people like the Red Sox executives flew him up to Boston to ask for his advice on how to bolster their attendance and their fan engagement, like that. And other big franchises are asking for him to consult, and it's just a really cool thing because his philosophy was being all about the fan experience, and improving things for the fans, and not and making a shift in baseball. And this guy is a former college baseball player. I think he played minor league. All the guys on his team are good athletes. They all played baseball, or some of them even played pro at some level. And he's even got now retired pros coming in to do cameos on the Bananas, and like play some selected games and stuff like that. So it's become a huge phenomenon, and it's huge on like Instagram. It's giant. You'll see all these really fun videos. They do snippets of like portions of games and stuff. And anyway, just a really fun success story, and cool. I always appreciate stories of people thinking outside of the box and doing things differently. And he didn't do it for the money, but then the money comes because he acted out of his passion, and now he's getting a higher profile and selling out stadiums and selling tons of merch, and asking to be a consultant for bigger franchises and all that stuff he never would have imagined when he was just like, hey, let's just make this fun and think out of the box and do things differently with baseball. So
Yeah.
um I will say that the audiobook narrator is pretty bad. So I'd recommend doing the print version if you're going to check out the book.
Yeah.
Some audiobook narrators are just really bad, and this one is. So it's like pausing in the middle of sentences where there's no punctuation and stuff like that. It makes it less enjoyable to listen to. So I'd recommend the actual paper version if you're
Maybe
gonna.
it's an AI or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just not like some audiobooks are read by the author and they're great. Some audiobooks are read by voice actors and they're great. And sometimes an author tries to read their own book and they're terrible, or somebody's hired to read the audiobook and they're terrible. So, the more audiobooks that come out, the more I see the difference between the quality of the narration and how that affects the way I enjoy the book. But yeah, that's all I've got for inspiration.
Nice.
I'll
That's very
turn it
cool.
over to you.
I wonder if they play somewhere out here. I have to look it up, see if I can check it out.
Yeah, they do tour, and it is similar to the Globetrotters. I think there's only a few other teams who are playing that style of ball right now, but I think
Mhm.
it's going to grow, and there's going to be like a bigger league where everybody's playing banana ball or whatever you call it, and they're going to be touring cities. Right now, I think they take two teams like the Globetrotters do, and they tour around and they barnstorm.
Mhm.
And then I think there are maybe 3 or 4 teams in the country as of the writing of the book who are doing it. So
Okay.
something like that.
That's very cool. I have to look it up. What a fun idea.
They do exhibitions in big stadiums. That was one of the things. I think they did an exhibition at Fenway in conjunction with his consulting. They went and did the whole thing there, and so they're doing it at bigger venues around the country as well.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be cool to watch them grow. It's very cool.
like baseball meets the circus
Yeah.
in a way, or entertainment, the circus, whatever. Like Cirque du Soleil meets baseball or something, right?
Yeah.
Just crazy. Yeah,
Well, that's very cool. Thank you for sharing. I had
yeah.
actually a kind of similar thing that I want to share too, so that's perfect. But one of these dudes I used to watch a lot more, who's a basketball like YouTuber. He's like a content creator, but only focused on basketball. He's grown quite a bit over the years, and now they've been collaborating with like ex NBA stars like Michael Beasley, Mario Chalmers, a couple other guys like that. They're fairly big names, but they're not playing anymore. And so now his vision for the next couple of years is to basically create like a pay-per-view for one-on-one basketball. And I just thought that was such a cool idea. And like technically he's already doing it because he gets paid from his YouTube videos for doing that. but that's kind of his next chapter. So I thought that was really cool. And actually, the name of their company and channel was the next chapter. But I just thought that was super cool. And like he's gotten a chance to play one on one with those guys like Chalmers and Beasley and stuff. And he's just basically matching up like players that are very good players, but just not NBA players. So it might be like XD1 players or current overseas players or something, and they're just like finding these people and then matching them up against each other and just doing one-on-one games. So I thought that was pretty cool. But he said like in the near future they're gonna make it pay-per-view and then they're gonna be able to pay their players too. So it'll be like another avenue to make money in basketball. So that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, other than that, I listened to a couple good podcasts this week. One of them was Ryan Pineda. He went on the Investor Lift. I really enjoyed that one. And he was just sharing kind of his strategy right now and also his strategy on how he built his social media and stuff like that. And really enjoyed that. It was cool to see a different side of him because we talked about, some people that are forward facing with their social media can be a bit much. But then when you get a chance to actually listen to them, it's really insightful and I get a lot out of that. So I really enjoyed that podcast on him and just kind of seeing like the real side of him. That was nice. And then
Yeah, he's forward facing.
yeah. And then I listened to, or I'm not finished with this one, but I listened to this one from Hermosi just about his lessons from 2024. And that one was really good. I think it's like a 3 hour podcast, but it's really good so far. And just a couple of lessons that I wrote down that he shared was number one is set fewer goals and to do less long-term planning, which is kind of contradictory to most people. But he says, you never know where you might be in 6 months or 12 months in terms of like, especially if you have a small team, you never know who you might let go or you might bring on. And so he's like, if you're trying to set up a 3, 4, 5 year plan, that's not really even going to be accurate because everything's going to change every 12 months or so in your business. Like you're going to have new employees, you're going to have to let go of people, the market's going to change, like all these sort of things. So that was
Yeah.
kind of interesting and kind of refreshing because it's something I've never done, but I always felt like I needed to do it or something like planning 4 or 5 years ahead. I really just try to plan 1 year ahead and then kind of update every quarter. And so that
A
was
lot
nice
of
to hear.
people have your 5 year, your 3 year, your 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice to hear that he doesn't even do that himself and he's, where he is. So that was very cool. And then second thing he shared was just about talent. He said talent is the most important thing in your business. And another thing he shared is that when you're looking to hire someone to replace, which is timely for me, don't hire someone unless it's a 50% improvement, whether it's culture, whether it's talent or both. Like, don't just hire someone just to like incrementally level up. Like, you're better off either letting go of that person or keeping on that person if it's just going to be a small incremental change. So basically, just hire someone that's much, much better than your current person if you're going to replace someone or just let them go. And then he shared two things on legal that I thought was interesting. Number one, he said the whole point of a contract is to prove or protect yourself in case things go wrong. So anytime you're going into a contract, even if it's just in our case, just locking up a house, always look at it that way, where you're making sure to protect yourself in case things go wrong. Even if you never want things to go wrong, but that's how you want to write your agreement to make sure to protect yourself. And then he said, if you do get into a spiff on legal stuff, always look at it purely based on a return on your time. So is it giving you a return on your time to actually go through the lengths to fight like whatever legal battle it might be? So that's a good one for me because I know, we deal with it quite often where sellers might just back out on us and completely ghost us and stuff. And, we talk about it on this podcast and off the podcast, but, sometimes if it's a bigger profit deal, obviously it's worth our time, but in other cases, it might not be worth the time to even go down that road and just, move on and try to get more deals. So
And
those are
also,
some,
if the person has anything, like if you're suing somebody, whether they have anything to get or whether you're just proving a point.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. So yeah, those are just a few that I wrote down. I'm still kind of early on in that one, but if anyone wants to listen, that's like a 3 hour podcast on his lessons from last year. So I'm sure
That's
there'll be
just his
some good
regular
nuggets.
podcast.
Yeah, just on
Like
his podcast, The Game.
the one, yeah. Yeah.
As of now, that's the most recent one. So if anyone looks it up, it
Yeah.
was
It's called
posted this past week.
the
Yeah. Um,
like you said, Jasper, I like that one because it's kind of no BS, just straight ahead, him talking about stuff usually. And
mhm.
a lot of the YouTube stuff can get busy with all the editing and the stuff that, like, he's obviously hired somebody to make his videos pop the way people expect them to on modern social media, but they can be distracting at times.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's called the game for anyone who's interested in listening, and that's it for me for this week. So you want to
That's
jump
great.
into business? Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to jump into business and check in? I know, we both had an abbreviated week this week, but do you have anything to share that you want to check in on?
Yeah, I definitely have stuff. I really like, I just want to hit on those things you shared for just a minute. I really like the goal setting stuff, the set fewer goals and have a shorter term plan. I
Hmm.
think that kind of dovetails with the gap and the gain stuff, right? Because the more goals you have out in front of you and farther out in the future, the more you create the potential for anxiety or a feeling of failure in yourself if you're not hitting those goals. So if you say, hey, I'm going to sprint for these next 6 months and we're going to hit this, and you can really measure that and do that. And tying in with other conversations too is like you can have Chat GPT map that out for you exactly how to hit that. And you can ask
Yeah.
them. But so I love that. And I really love the hiring piece because that's just really that's present for me as well. Like you said, it's relevant for you in the moment, but to not just plug a gap with somebody because you need that role filled, but to really make sure that you're adding or improving by the addition of somebody, not just
Hmm.
you know because it takes a lot of time and energy and money to hire and train somebody and bring somebody in, and then you have the culture fit like you mentioned, um, which can cause dissonance and cause your whole team to be less productive if you don't have a right culture fit. So I just love that that's timely for me too. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that. And even the distinction of like, hey, if you don't find a rock star, then just don't hire anybody until you do, rather than just put somebody in that seat.
definitely.
And maybe not
Yeah,
everybody's at the level where they have a team and they're hiring people, but um, it's a big part of when you do have a team. It's really important.
yeah.
Yeah, so I can jump into my other stuff. I made some notes on the week here. I did write down some gains in the spirit of gaps and gains. So one of the gains from this past week is that we closed a deal on December 31st. So, and it was really nice because another gain that I have written down is that I actually took time off and I really didn't touch more work much at all for, I had a few days where I didn't touch it at all. And then I had a few days where I did minor stuff, but I really gave myself mental space from work for about a week. And I haven't done that in years and it felt really good. But one of the nice things was that I knew we had a couple of closings kicking around out there, so I tried to periodically just check in with email. And on the 31st, I went in my email and had a message from an attorney that said, "Hey, this one's closed. Just want to let you know, we're recording and we'll disperse funds soon." I was like, "Awesome," because I didn't do anything. I did not do a dang thing. It's just like they just closed it. So and it was under the wire for 2024, which is nice to just add one more closed deal. So that gave us
Hmm.
44 deals closed in 2024, and we closed
Nice.
four. Yeah, we closed 48 in 2023. So it was a few less than we closed, but our revenue was higher and our per deal average was higher. So we made
Yeah,
more, so that was also a gain. So that was nice. And then another Christmas miracle that we had, it was kind of a belated Christmas miracle because I came back to work and I had been calling and texting this one seller because we had this deal sold and it was set to close. And it was one of our VIP buyers. And we had already had an issue with another deal with him, a delay and stuff. Anyway, the seller ghosted us. So I'd been calling her, texting her, and everything because my team was gone. So I was just trying to periodically just buzz her and try and I sent her email. I had not yet sent the not the angry, but the hey, if you don't close with us, we might choose to pursue legal action. You've signed a legally binding contract. We have that whole thing. I was on the verge of doing that, and then we came back to work as a team on Thursday, the 2nd, and one of my team members posted to Slack, the attorney reached this seller and closing is scheduled for the 7th of January. And I was like,
nice.
hallelujah. Because I'd been trying to reach out to this person. My acquisitions manager had been trying to reach out to her. She had been ghosting both of us. And then all of a sudden the attorney reached out to her and she was like ready to go. So anyway, that was a big gain and another Christmas miracle. So I was grateful for that. Now that one can close this coming week. And then we have one, I mentioned this previously, but our estate file deal that we sold in July, sold last July, is going to close this coming week. So
That's
that's,
great.
yeah. And thanks again for the referral for Terrell, because he crushed that for us. And
Yeah, he's
then
awesome.
you suggested to me, Jasper, that I asked the buyer to split the cost of that estate attorney, and they did agree to that. So that was a big, that was more money in our pocket because of that, because it was a
Hmm.
chunk that we had to pay the estate attorney, $3,000. And then another gain is Just Call is now live for us. So we talked about tools at our year-end episode last week, and I can update you that Just Call is on board now and online, and we ported our numbers over pretty rapidly from our other service, which was smartphone. We ported those numbers over in probably 5 business days ish. It was over the holidays, so it was kind of sketchy. But to their credit, the smartphone person I dealt with was very helpful. Once Just Call put the porting request, it's PORT porting request into them to move the numbers over, and then they kept on top of it, smartphone, and then the Just Call people kept on top of it, and they got the numbers all moved over. And then it looks like there's a new regulation around 10 DLC where you have to have each number approved, or at least Just Call is making us do that. So we had to have like 8 numbers approved, but they got that done very fast. They got them approved within a day or two, and so now we're fully on board. And Jasper, I did have my operations guy look into it, and he said the integration with follow-up sequences in Podio is part of the integration that's already there. So we haven't
Nice.
yet to test it, but I told him we might have to use a Zap or something. He's like, "Oh no, it's part of the integration. It's already there." So we'll be fully testing Just Call this week. It'll be our first full week, but I'm excited to try it out because it is the UI is nicer and cleaner than smartphone, and it has AI features and integrates with Podio. So looking forward to seeing what we can do with it. I think it's going to have a little bit more potential uh, as far as what you can do with it than smartphone.
Hmm.
So that's a victory. Another victory for me this week. This might be boring to some people, but we had 3 delinquent owner finance buyers. So we sell some of our vacant land on owner finance deals. And if you want to know more about that, let us know in the comments and we can talk about how to do owner finance deals. But we have probably 8 to 10 of those going right now, and 3 of them were delinquent. They were behind on their payments. And so we reached out to them. We got them to come to the table and talk about it. And they all wanted to restructure their payments, and we offered amnesty for the arrears. And all 3 of those have been restructured. We have one person yet to sign the revised promissory note, but that was a victory for me because it was kind of one of those things hanging out there of like people owe us money, and we're not really organized in this realm about, when we started doing owner finance deals, we're like, well, what do we do if somebody's delinquent? We didn't really, well, we'll foreclose on them. We didn't have a system and a process for what we do and how we do it. So now we do. We have a process. We reach out to them. We say, here are your options. You can restructure, and we'll offer you amnesty this one time on the arrears. Late fees are still going to apply. And then, and the other victory, Jasper, that came from you out of this is as I was restructuring these deals and creating this standard operating procedure for this whole thing, is that I added in a $250 restructuring fee, because it's just like I'm spending a bunch of time doing this, like, and I
Yeah.
was feeling resentful. I was feeling like, why am I spending my time like rewriting this promissory note and recalculating a amortization table and all this stuff? And I was like, I'm charging these people for this. They're the ones who
Yeah.
are behind. It's not my fault that they're not making their payments. I mean, obviously, God bless them. People have hardships and have things come up in their life, or they lose jobs. I don't know what goes on in their world, but still, they made an agreement to pay us on a monthly basis this amount, and they said they could do it. They made that promise, and then they defaulted on that, and now I'm having to do work to clean up their mess, and so I'm charging them. So anyway, that felt like a victory for me because we forgave the payments that were back due. We just put on, took the principal balance that was unpaid, threw the late fees on there from the months they didn't pay the payments, added in the admin fee for restructuring the loan, and then they sign a revised promissory note. And as long as they pay on the new schedule, one person reduced their payment amount because they said they had hardship. The other 2 kept their payment the same, but just the arrears were rolled into their payment just got extended out a little bit. That's all.
Hmm.
So anyway, that was a victory. Maybe that's too many words about that, but if you're interested in owner finance
No, I love
deals,
it. That's awesome.
yeah, we do a lot of owner finance deals, and they are, the thing is, like, one of the victories in that too is like this one that I restructured and they reduced their payment when I did the new amortization table. uh, they're going to be paying for the next 6.5 years on this thing, and but the interest we're going to make on it is going to be 5 grand. So we made the purchase price on that property, which we already made a profit on the purchase price. Like we bought this thing for 5,000 and sold it for 20,000 on owner financing. So we make 15 there, but then we're making 5 in interest. So that's the benefit of doing owner finance deals, right? Is I actually made 20,000 instead of 15 on a deal. And each
Hmm.
one of those is that. So that helped me to feel better about the process of doing all this stuff too. It's like just being able to look at, oh, this is the actual profit. And I could go in and look at it anytime, but it's cool to look at it and be like, this is why we do owner finance deals, because we're making a lot extra money.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, that's that. And then I'll just do some brief KPIs for the 2 days we had. In 2 days, we sold one. So that was cool. We had Thursday and Friday that we were back to work and we sold one property. We made 6 offers, 18 leads in 2 days. And then currently in escrow, I have 7 set to close in July. I mean, January. I said
Awesome.
I
That's
had,
huge.
yeah, 7 set to close, and those all look good. I just looked at them on my Podio. We have nine in escrow for January dates, but 2 of those are kind of sketchy. But the other 7, knock on wood, look really good. So at any rate, it's going to be a much better January than last year, because January was our worst month of the year last year.
Yeah.
And this year it's not going to be. This year's going to be like way above that. If we close half the 7 deals, right, 3 or
Yeah.
4 deals, will be good. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I was just going to do a quick. I had a couple notes here about tools. I already checked in about Just Call, so I'll report back on what it's like to actually operate with that for a full week next week.
Hmm.
Priced, as mentioned on our year-end podcast, PRYCD, for pulling lists with prices that are already priced for when you're sending direct mail and you want to send a fake check offer, basically is what it is. You send a piece of mail that has a window and it has an offer and it looks like a check and all that. And those are according to our reps, those are the most successful ones. So this site Priced will pull your list, but also price your listings, and they'll price them based on for sale listings, sold listings, and tax value, however you want to weight that or choose those options.
Hmm.
So I did my first list with them and we submitted it, and their platform is really nice. And they do offer some deals similar to Direct Skip, where Jasper, you and I buy bulk packages of skips on Direct Skip to bring our price down. Priced also does that. You can buy like a bulk of pulling listings. And so I bought like 10,000 at a discount or something. And that was a nice thing to find too. And their platform is really easy to use and has a lot of filters to be able to pull lists. So far I'm in on them, and I can report back on how that goes as we continue to use them. Smarter
Nice.
content. Do you have anything else on that?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Smarter Contact Dialer so far is a dud. And I brought this up as like something I was semi excited about, because the founder of Smarter Contact feels like he's found a way to hack cold calling and to make it more of a warm call in conjunction when you're doing an SMS marketing on a list, to do the cold calling in conjunction with that. And, anyway, he's got this whole platform that he set up called the Power Dialer and Smarter Contact, which is our SMS platform. So far, it's been a dud for us. So far, it's just been a lot of problems and not great support. And we actually moved our cold caller back over to Call Tools for those 2 days last week, because we just couldn't get the Power Dialer and Smarter Contact to work well without having to go back and forth with support. So they gave us an introductory rate, and because we're the test cases, and I think I'm going to just cancel that and cut my losses and not keep trying to go down the road with them, because my opinion is that if you're going to try something in beta and have people be guinea pigs, you damn well better have support at the ready, instantly, and be correcting things in real time, and not just be like, hey, we'll get
Hmm.
back, Ken, or we got your message, we'll let you know, that kind of shit, because that doesn't work, So anyway,
Yeah.
unfortunate, because I was hoping that maybe there was still a hope for cold calling, and maybe they'll get their stuff together with this, and all these problems they're having now will get fixed, and it'll become a good option that's somewhere in between cold calling and SMS for results. But right now it's too much in beta for me to want to continue to be a guinea pig with them. And I think that's it. Yeah, I already mentioned Chat GPT, which has been a huge help with starting the year and planning and goal setting and reflection and stuff. So recommend anybody who's not using that, you can get it for free. Definitely jump in and use it. And that's all I've got.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Sounds like you're geared up for a huge January. It's exciting.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Uh, but yeah, I want to piggyback on the ChatGPT thing. I've been using that a bunch more, and it's been really fun. So just seeing how much stuff it can do, it's really fun.
It's just you keep finding out more of what it can do, right? And the more you use it.
Yeah, yeah. But wanted to pose a question for anyone who's still listening. So if you guys have used ChatGPT, the paid version, I'm interested to how it compares and how much better it is. As well, if you
Yeah.
guys have used the other ones that are, I think it's called Gemini by Google, and I think it's called Claude by Microsoft. I think I'm getting those names right, maybe not, but just wondering if anyone else has used those and how it compares. So drop a comment below if you have.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a good.
but yeah, I'll probably experiment with those on my own also. But I was just curious, and also wondering about the paid version of ChatGPT. I think it's $20 a month, so I was just wondering how much more kind of features and stuff you get with that. Considering doing that. But yeah. So for me, this week was good. We had a great start to the year, despite a short week. So that was awesome. We sold 4 deals this week. We got three
Wow,
contracts.
that's
Yeah,
huge.
that was great. Three contracts. Kind of closed one. I guess I won't count it because it didn't record yet, but we have all the docs in on Friday, so I'll count that one for next week. So zero closings, and yeah, so that was our week. Um, don't know what I was about to say, but I also have some good news, but on a couple of deals. So one of the deals I shared, I don't know if it was online or offline, but I shared on the last show before our year end that I was having issues with this one property I bought because the owners basically weren't moving out, and so at this point they're like not owners and they're not tenants, so it's kind of a weird situation. But thankfully they ended up moving out, and I think it was kind of the what's that saying? It's like the carrot and the stick. So I guess it was kind of the stick that helped me get them out. So it just kind of, I was trying to be nice, but just kind of letting them know, like, hey, everyday guys are not out. The money that I was hoping to give you is dwindling down by 100 or not 125, $250 every single day. So every day is just costing you guys $250, and that only took them 2 more days to get out. So
$500, man.
yeah. So they did move out, and then I had my guy change the locks and everything because I still don't really totally trust these people. And I'm glad I did because literally the day after they told me they moved out, they contacted me like that night, and he was like, "Oh, like I forgot this thing like in the shed. Can I just like sleep in the shed tonight?" And I was like, "No, like you can, but I mean it's considered trespassing. So do as you wish."
Can I
Um,
sleep in the shed?
yeah, like these people are just very weird. So
Did
really
you do the
grateful.
notice to vacate, or did you just tell them about the money they were owing?
Yeah, so I told him about the money they were owing, and then I had my guy go and get the keys from them the following day, and he was planning to leave them with a notice to vacate. They ended up giving him the keys, so he didn't. And then they gave him the keys, but they still weren't leaving. And and they had multiple ways about it. So they gave him the keys, but there was a digital lock. And so they gave him the code to the digital lock. They could easily just change the code and live in the house, right? And so I told them, I was like, thanks for the keys, but until we secure this property, this thing is still accruing. Like you're still not out of the property. And so then he went back the following morning and changed the locks, and they were actually gone and stuff. But I'm still weary about it. And like I said, we got the docs in on Friday and everything, but we're still holding all of those funds until, the buyer closes and until he actually goes to the property to verify, like there's no one there. They didn't vandalize the property, anything like that. So, because if they did, I'm just going to give those funds to the buyer. I'm not going to keep those funds myself. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. We'll see. But the victory there was that they actually did move out, and Yeah, I learned a lot there, but my lesson for next time is just to stay firm on the $10,000, never go below that because that's like an amount that everyone would want, no one doesn't want to get 10,000, but because I did a
Did they get
smaller,
money? Did they get money at closing?
yeah, they did. Their mortgage was like 45 and they got like 60, low 60s. So they got like 15 to 20,000. So they got a big
Okay.
chunk of money.
Yeah.
And I was being nice and didn't do 10,000 because, I think it was like 15,000 that they got. So if I would have done 10,000 as opposed to what I did, which was 3,500, then they would only have made like what, less than 10,000, I think, on the front end, which is still plenty to move out, I think. But I know they had to put a down
Oh, yeah.
payment on another place and stuff. So again, I was trying to be nice and it bit me in the butt. So in 2025, we already had one situation present itself this week where a seller was literally like asking for the same thing. And I just told my team, on our meeting last week, our year-end meeting, I was like, hey, we're having a lot of issues with this one. So going forward, we're never doing less than 10,000. That was my mistake. And so yeah, it's company policy now. And for more expensive properties, we'll just do more. So we're just going to make it a percentage of the sale price essentially. So for example, if it's a $200,000 home, we'll take 20,000 and hold that back if we're going to do it in the future, just so that it's bigger incentive with bigger price points. But yeah, just sharing that in case that's helpful for anyone. Anyone, I would recommend, even if the property is only like 50,000, still do a $10,000 holdback because the larger the incentive, the faster they're going to move out, right? And even do a larger penalty if they don't move out because that'll
Yeah.
help you as well.
If you haven't
Um,
listened to the previous podcast, he's just talking about post possession closing. It's not common. It's not like commonplace. I mean, I guess it's fairly common, but it's a small percentage that you would do this way, where the seller asks to stay on after the closing. Most sellers will prepare and move out by or before closing day, but every once in a while you get somebody who wants to stay on. That's what he's referring to because it has been discussed on previous pods. But in case
yeah.
you're catching up, yeah,
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was a good lesson for me because, for us, we do at least one of these a month, usually two. And
really,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it's been my experience that the sellers just are never, never moving out on time anymore. So we're doing this, but we're being very aggressive with it. And so all year last year, this was my only one that I had an issue with. And so it doesn't have to be a stressful situation as long as you do a large holdback. Like I had two in December, this being one of them. The other one I didn't buy myself, I assigned, but it was super smooth. She only needed 7 days after closing. We did the 10,000 holdback. She was out on time. She gave the buyer the keys, super smooth. And
yeah,
that's what every single one of my ones last year has been. The only person who went over actually went over only by 1 day. And so we just waived the fee for her because, she only went over by 1 day.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so, I mean, don't be scared from my experience. I'm just sharing it for anyone listening so that you don't do what I did, but it can be
Yeah,
done very effectively.
come back to bite you on the butt sometimes when you give, and especially I think there's a personality in there too, right? There's a type of personality who's asking you to give,
Hmm.
and that's a red flag because then you'll end up getting in trouble by giving, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
starting to read some personalities because, like, I can reflect back, not to make it about me, but just on my hoarder situation. Because, oh, could you help me move? Could you move my stuff? And they're asking for more and more and more, and then we get to the house, and the house is full of junk, right? So
Yeah.
it is a personality thing. So just pay attention to personalities that you're dealing with too. That's all I'll say on
Yeah.
that.
Great point. Yeah. And I don't know if I told you, I actually posted this story online, but they actually left chickens and a turtle in the house.
Wow.
And so like that's the type of people, they didn't even care about their animals. And I know chickens might not be considered pets, but they literally just left the turtle in the house. And so,
Yeah.
thankfully my friend has young kids who change the locks for me. And he's like, I'll take a turtle, my kids will be happy. So thankfully, the turtle's fine. And the neighbors really actually wanted the chickens. So it all worked out, but it's still kind of weird. Like who would
Yeah.
just do that? Like you're just leaving your animals like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyways,
Yeah.
enough on that. The chapters behind me. So it's nice to start the year off with a win on that. And then another huge win for me was that the documents that were sent from Italy 4 weeks ago are finally in Raleigh. And looks like we'll be able to close that this coming week. So that's great. And
That's
then,
awesome.
yeah. And then another huge victory for me that I'm just noticing, just this first week. So we got 3 contracts this week, which I shared. 2 out of 3 of those contracts are from online leads. And so that's super exciting for me because we just started this about 2 weeks ago. And 2 out of 3 of those are from online leads. And it's given me like a new excitement for my business, which I haven't had in a while. And it's really nice. And I had a new spark for this year anyways, because we had a bit of a down year last year. I was excited to grow and not do that again. But the online leads just add in a factor of excitement that I haven't had from cold calling and texting, because like literally every time you're getting a call in, or whether it's an online form or whatever, like you might have a deal right there on your hands. And that's what I noticed twice this week. This person, like we had one that called in on Sunday, so I spoke to them and we locked it up Tuesday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. And so, like 48-hour turnaround. And then we had another dude call in on Thursday and I spoke to him and locked him up yesterday, Saturday. So it's twice, 48-hour turnaround. And so it just makes things much more exciting, because now it's like maybe you're having a slow start to the month. All of a sudden you get 3 online leads. You might have a chance to get 3 contracts just right there. And obviously the averages are going to play out, and I'm sure our next few leads won't be contracts, because it's got to play out like that. But I mean, 1 out of 10 is still super exciting, because if we get 10 calls in a week, we might get 1 contract. Like that's super exciting to me. So yeah, I just want to share that with everyone. I'll keep
That's really
reporting.
exciting.
Yeah, I'll keep
Awesome.
reporting back on how it's going. But the one we contracted, like I said earlier in the week, we already sold and scheduled to close this month. And then the other one we just got on Saturdays in Raleigh. And so I'm hopeful for that one. I don't get many deals in Raleigh, so that's super exciting. And hopefully we'll be able to close that one later this month too. So super exciting on that. And then actually one more brief, I'll try to keep it brief, one more story about the online lead. So this first one, I guess, was a bit of a bummer, but we contracted it and then sent it out. And then my buddy BJ, he was like, "Oh, we actually contracted that before, like just the week before." And I was like, "Oh my God." So this seller was like trying to play us against each other. But BJ is a guy that I've known for years, and he was nice enough to just do a JV with us. And so we're just going to JV with him. Like I said, we already sold it, and we'll just do a JV with him. And that was very kind of him to do, because he contracted it first. He could have just told me to kick rocks, but he was like, "No, like, I'm happy to work together with you on it." So we're going to JV it. And I think it helped my credibility with him a little bit too, because he was planning to buy it for 65. We ended up contracting it for 69. So the sellers just wanted a few extra thousand. So that goes to show you, everyone, that sellers are sometimes not telling you the truth. And I literally asked her, "Are you in contact with anyone else?" And she told me no. So it's kind of interesting. But either way, BJ was planning to buy it for 65, and he was like, "Yeah, like that was the maximum like I thought I could get." So when I saw you send it out for 85, I was like so confused. And we ended up getting a buyer just below 85. And so that was like credibility to me, because like showing him that I have buyers. And so hopefully we'll do more JV deals in the future, because he wholesales and he buys, so he does both. But also just testament to the buyers that I'm working with, a testament to investor base, and to easy texting, because all those 3 things, we got like 10 offers on this property within one day, sold it within a day, less than a day. And so yeah, so that was all awesome all around. But the major win there was having a relationship with BJ that allowed me to still make a profit on this deal. Because like I said, he could have dug his heels in and been like, "I contracted it first, like I'm filing a memo, like cancel your contract." But he's just a nice guy, and we're going to work together on it. So that felt good. Um,
Well, and you probably got him more money than he expected to get anyway, with like you said, with the buyer list and everything.
yeah, yeah. So that was a win all around. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it for my wins this week. Yeah. I did get my first batch of candidates from somewhere.com that I mentioned to you. And
Yeah.
they weren't like outstanding, but I did give them feedback, and they're hoping to send me another batch this week. So it looks like they send in batches of 5, which is nice. They get to review a bunch of people all at once. They have their resume, they have a video introduction, all that stuff. So looks pretty cool. So hopefully I'll be able to find someone by the end of this month.
Do they have their like computer stuff too, like Rapid Assistance does?
They do
Computer
not. They do not. That's a good question. I
Rapid
could probably
Assistance
ask them
has
to.
their computer set up and their, whatever megabytes per second, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it can be an issue with people. You get somebody who has an internet connection that's going in and out, and with a lot of downtime and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll have to ask them for that. If I find someone who I'm really interested in hiring. But right now they're targeting South America and South Africa, which is cool. Because I told them that I would love to have someone who's bilingual, because this is a position who's going to be, conversing with sellers and buyers. And we don't have as many sellers. We have a fair number of buyers that are Hispanic, and I think it'd be nice to have that touch with them, so that they can speak to a
Yeah.
Spanish speaking person.
Well, it builds more confidence in your business for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was exciting too. Um, but yeah, other than that, that's about it. Yeah. So I did look into Just Call though. Thank you for the recommendation there. So I'm excited to hear how it goes with you next week. Just looking in their UI and stuff, and they did like a sample call. You probably did this too with the sample call with AI. I thought that was amazing. Really
Yeah.
cool. Um, and so I don't think it's at the point right now. Like I was when I first listened to the sample call, I was like, maybe I don't need to hire someone. I could just train this AI thing. But I don't think it's quite there. But I think it definitely can be someone who takes inbound calls and filters them and then
Exactly.
forwards them like kind of like a secretary role.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's super exciting. So I'm probably going to switch over there too. Just want to hear your feedback next week after your first week, using it. But I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna be switching over to them. So that's pretty exciting. And it was cool. Like I was just playing around with it because I'm on the free trial, but I was just playing around with it, and they have you probably saw it too, but they have all these different voices you can choose the AI agent, and they have different names and stuff, and it's really cool. so,
Yeah.
so yeah,
How the AI does the call analysis too. Did you see that?
yeah,
Where it analyzes like opportunities within the call or action items, things like that. And it'll even create a follow-up, like follow up with this based on this action item, that kind of stuff. Pretty cool.
yeah, very cool. And I don't know if you looked into this. It might be the same as a smartphone dialer, so maybe not a fit for you, but they do have the sales dialer. I saw it built right in. So I don't know if that's for outbound or if it's only for your warm leads, but I did notice that too. So maybe that could be
Yeah.
something. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that's about it. So I guess the focus of today was AI and and starting the year off strong. But yeah, definitely anyone who's listening this far, if you have any AI tools that you're using, we'd love to hear about them, whether it's like a soft phone like Just Call, or whether it's ChatGPT or competitor or something. We'd love to hear about those. So feel free to drop your comments. And if you have any questions for our next episode, drop them below. And I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.